All right, this is going to be a second video for this exercise. And remember, you're handing in two files. Hopefully you've done the first one, which is going to look a little something like this. This is going to be your first name, last name, underscore raster.swift. Make sure you are giving me Swift files. I believe everyone has gotten past giving me different types of files, but hopefully you are giving me Swift files. Now, the other file that was you need to import is this clouds.flv. Okay, and you have to import this in a particular way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually delete this, and I'm going to set up, and I'm going to quickly pause the video here. I'm going to set up an import on this so you can sort of see how this works. You might have this FLV file, hopefully in a folder or somewhere on your computer or a drive, and we need to import this because it's a video file in a different manner. So I'm going to pause and sort of set this up for you. All right, I've moved this clouds.flv into my animation folder. And I've simply done a file import to library, just as you should have done with something like hill.jpg. And this clouds video has been converted into what's called a flash video. That's this file type, FLV. That's the type of file that Animate needs if you are interested in using video. A quick word about using video. You are to use video as we use video here in this exercise, as a background thing, as something that is happening while you animate. Shooting a video, converting it to an FLV, and then putting it in Animate and calling it your animation is not an animation. That would not be looked on kindly. So think about using video as I sort of show you here. One quick aside on D2L, I will post a website that converts video. So if you have MP4s or AVIs or things that, you know, a simple thing such as clouds going by, waves crashing, who knows, something that you want to use that we've seen in some of the animations we've watched, like Belly and Bottle. You can sort of use this converter and play around with it. So I'm going to import this clouds.flv, and the reason I'm sort of showing you an import this time, which is normally not a very exciting thing, is that when we import it, we're going to get these options. Now, it says, where's your video file? I'm going to say on my computer. And since this is, and I should have shown it, this is a smallish video. It's been compressed and it's only 2 megabytes, which is fairly small. I'm going to embed this in the timeline, which is going to be a bit different than sort of loading it externally. Again, you are using these hopefully for very sort of basic, you know, background type things. If you're dealing with file types that are very, very large, you should not be embedding them in there. So don't get into a pickle with that. But I'm going to embed this because it is quite small. And down here it says this method of importing is only recommended for short video clips with no audio track. That's great. That's what we're sort of dealing with here. So I'm going to hit next. I don't have audio, so I'm going to uncheck that. And I'm going to hit finish, and said the video will be imported into your library as a symbol. Great. Now it's over here. Okay. I can click on it. I can see sort of its size. It's actually 800 by 600. I made it that size. And there it is. It's 671 frames, which is exactly what I, surprise, surprise, made our animation at. Now, I want to use this video to sort of kind of replace our static clouds back here. I'm going to keep this sort of setup, and the reason I'm sort of doing this in the order that I'm doing it is that we've set up the basics here, and now I'm just going to simply add this clouds. Now, if we think about Hill, .jpg and the file that's associated with it, you'll see as I turn it on and off, this is one big thing. Okay, when I click on it, it's one big thing. I can't really crop this out. I can't sort of get rid of the clouds without altering the image. We're going to do a little trick here, which is we're going to turn this, we're going to trace bitmap this, and then we're going to erase the sky and replace it with our clouds video here. So let's head into this. First and foremost, I want to insert a new symbol. Insert new symbol. It's going to be a simple graphic, and I'm going to call this Let's call this hill with no sky. Let's be as descriptive as possible. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this hill.jpg and I'm going to pop it down in here. Now, we've done this a few times, and this is a possibility. I'm using a raster-based graphic, but I'm going to turn it into a vector-based graphic. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm going to get rid of this sky here. Okay, I'm going to make this an editable, almost like our bird, but a much more complex way, our bird that we did a while ago. So we're going to go to Modify, Bitmap, Trace Bitmap. And I'm going to keep this at this 100 and 800. What you're going to see is, well, let's change that. Modify, bitmap, trace bitmap. I'm going to make this 40. Sorry, I just paused the video to figure out what was best for this. I'm going to make this color threshold 40, which is having to do with sort of how accurate this is going to be. And then I'm going to make, let's try 3 and see if it works. This is going to give us a more accurate bitmap. What we're doing is we're turning this into a vector graphic. We're going to lose some of the photographic sort of qualities here, and we'll see how it does. Okay. Clearly we have more of a vector-based image now. Now, what I want to do, and this is going to take a minute, and I think I can sort of quickly do it here, is I want to get rid of all of this stuff here, all these little blocks of color. And all that's going to be left is our hill. And I can simply click on this with the black arrow, and we could zoom in if we wanted to do a really great job, which I think I can get away with just sort of using here. There's going to be some of these chunks left. Let's just select them and get rid of them. Now we have the hill. Okay, now we have the hill without the sky. You can probably see where we are headed here. This is also, this is our hill with no sky. Our hill.jpg is still that picture. I'm going to go back to the scene, okay? And I am going to, let's do this, since I want to sort of keep maybe the integrity of this. I'm going to insert a new layer, and I'm going to call this hill with no sky. Okay, now, as you can probably imagine, I'm going to turn off my hill background. I'm going to click on my first keyframe of hill with no sky, and I'm going to put this image down. Okay, so similar placing, similar sort of thing going on. This is simply a static graphic, and it really isn't sort of doing much more or less than our other graphic. You'll see that I've again turned this off, but I've actually placed it almost exactly where it was, and we have sort of a similar thing here. Now, back to the goal of this, which is using video. What I want to do is I want to create a new layer, and I want to make sure it's in the right spot. Let's think about sort of the placing of this. I create a new layer, and I'm going to call it Sky Video. And just coincidentally, and if this didn't happen, you can sort of change it. I want this basically playing behind the sky, and basically sort of behind everything. Okay, so since our hill background is turned off, I'm going to sort of put it right above there. Okay, and let's sort of watch how this works. I'm going to grab my clouds.flv video, and I am going to pop it right here. Okay, it's sort of a largish file, so it's okay. You know, it's going to sort of be behind our hill with no sky graphic. So you can see, which is great when you have video, you can see it sort of happening live. It's unlike actually our movie clip, which are much more simple, that don't sort of animate as we move it along. So let's take a look at sort of the arrangement here. Here's hill background. We're not using that anymore. I have the sky video. I have the hill with no sky graphic. Okay, this is what we made. We trace bitmapped on top of that. And then I just have my bird 1 and 2 from the previous exercise. So let's take a look. And there we go. Pretty simple use of video. Again, this is the type of video I want you to use. This is the type of video I think, you know, if we look at that movie like Belly, where she uses, you know, the waves lapping up on both actually Belly and Bottle. There's some simple video being used. You are not to shoot video, pop it in to animate, and call it your animation. Any questions about this, please email me. Again, you're handing in 2 exercises. I will note what they are called on D2L. These are due in the Dropbox, so take a look at those. And again, email me with any questions.